new watch, new babes.
What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. So listen, man. Close calls, right? Or as I like to call them, final destination moments. It's kind of what this next video is catered to. It's 7 people who survive the impossible. And they should put like towards the end, like ... for the moment. Because if you watch Final Destination like I do, bro, all you thinking about is it coming back around to catch you. You don't know when, you don't know where. You know what I mean? But anyway, man, just on my movie stuff. But 7 people who survived the impossible, man. We've all had those near-death experiences. You know what I mean? Whole life flash before your eyes, start putting things back into perspective for you. You know what I mean? Also, kind of, it might age you a bit. It might age you a bit. So that's the type of video we're checking out next. If you're new to the channel, man, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you head over to the vlog channel, which is up. All right, video ready to go. 10K, we dropping our first video, and we got some in the chamber as well. So make sure you head over there to the vlog channel, man, and hit the subscribe button and join the fam, which you're already fam. All right, let's check this out.
We've all had close calls, moments of danger that got our adrenaline pumping and made us feel lucky to be alive once we made it to safety. But there are some close call stories that defy logic, and some people who manage to walk away from a seemingly grisly fate. Today, we'll be looking at 7 unbelievable examples of people who survived against impossible odds. Sometimes, till death do us part takes on a menacing new meaning. On Easter Sunday 2015, Victoria Silliers went parachuting in Wiltshire, England. As an experienced recreational skydiver, Victoria had made many jumps, but this one would end quite differently. Unbeknownst to Victoria, her husband, Emile Silliers, had sabotaged her parachute before the jump, removing crucial components that connected the parachute canopy to the harness. As she sped towards the ground, Victoria realized her parachute was faulty, but her backup chute would also not open. She fell a dizzying 4,000 feet before hitting the ground at a speed of 60 miles per hour. Such a fall would normally be fatal, but the field where Victoria landed had recently been plowed, and she happened to land on a particularly soft patch of earth. She was seriously injured, but incredibly, she survived.
Wow. Like, first of all, how did they know it was? I'm interested to know how they figured out it was him. Number 2, to survive something like that, bro. Like, and then I would be interested to know, like, did she ever try, like, get over the fear of that and jump again? Like, I got so many questions, bro.
Police would later learn that Emile, a sergeant in the British Army, was having 2 affairs. He had promised at least one of the women that he would leave his wife, and he planned to cash in on Victoria's life insurance policy after her death. In fact, Emile had tried to kill Victoria a week before the jump as well by tampering with a gas valve in their home. Emile opened a valve in the kitchen while Victoria and their children were sleeping, then left to spend the night at his ex-wife's home. In the morning, Victoria woke and smelled the gas in time to prevent a tragedy. She even texted Emile that morning, jokingly asking if he was trying to kill her. Thankfully, luck was on Victoria's side, and both attempts on her life failed. In 2018, Emile was tried for the murder plots and sentenced to life in prison. He will have to serve a minimum of 18 years behind bars. Victoria was left with emotional trauma even after her injuries healed, but soon after went skydiving again to raise money for the Wiltshire Air Ambulance, which she credits with saving her life. In April 2020, Victoria published a book about her ordeal titled, I Survived.
Yo, she like the 50 Cent of the skydiving world, bro. You know, remember 50 Cent got shot 9 times, right? Couldn't kill him. This dude tried to leave the gas on, and he tried to kill the kids, bro. Like, listen, bump life in prison, bro. They should have gave him the death penalty, bro. Not only did you try to kill her, you tried to kill the kids, and you tried to kill her multiple times, but you couldn't kill her, bro. When it's not your time to go, it ain't your time. I hope he getting in jail. And we're going to leave it at that. All right? We're going to leave it at that. But the title of her book, it says, I Survived, which is in the two bold white letters. And then right there it says, I married a charming man, then he tried to kill me. Whew. I might need to get that book, bro.
About her ordeal titled, I Survived. Trying new things can be fun, but it can also be dangerous. Erin Langworthy learned this lesson for herself on December 31st, 2011. After graduating from university, 22-year-old Erin had embarked on a trip to Zambia. While on a safari, Erin took advantage of one of the activities offered along the way, bungee jumping over the Zambezi River at Victoria Falls, home to a large population of Nile crocodiles. Erin had never bungee jumped before, so she was nervous. But she watched dozens of others in her group safely complete the jump before her. Her own experience, however, would not be so typical. As Erin prepared to jump, a guide helped her assume the appropriate position, arms spread wide at her sides. The guide nudged her off the platform, sending her flying out over the river. Nearly all the way down, the jump went normally, until suddenly, Erin's bungee cord snapped, sending her plummeting into the river below. She fell 360 feet before hitting the water. Erin somehow kept her cool, even in the swirling currents of the river. She blew bubbles and followed them to the surface, but a portion of the bungee cord still attached to her held her beneath the water, and her legs remained tied together from the jump. She had to turn away from the surface to yank on the rope until it came free. She then swam for the surface. When she was finally pulled from the water at the riverbank, Erin had spent a total of 40 minutes in the river, fighting for her life. After miraculously surviving her fall, Erin was taken to a hospital in Victoria Falls, but she was soon airlifted to a South African hospital where the facilities were better. She was covered in bruises and had broken her collarbone, but suffered no other serious injuries.
Wow.
Erin spent 2 weeks recovering from her freak accident before returning home to Australia. The bungee company has since introduced measures to ensure that what happened to Erin won't happen again.
Look at the cord, though. Don't the cord look like it was kind of frayed to you? Wait, let me see if I can time it.
Introduce measures to ensure.
Look at it, bro. Look at this part right here. Look at this part up here. Like, that rope don't look like it meets standards. Wow. She was hesitant about it. In the water for 40 minutes in a current. That's traumatic.
Sure that what happened to Erin won't happen again.
A final question.
Yeah.
Will you bungee jump again?
That sounded like the "Will you marry me" from Fresh Prince, didn't it? Hillary, will you marry me? Splat. Dang.
Will you bungee jump again?
No.
Not anytime soon. Maybe in the... I don't think Beck's too happy with me, but maybe in the future sometime.
No. Never, ever again. Don't be ashamed.
Imagine surviving a disaster only to be stranded where you may never be found. On May 26, 2013, 29-year-old Harrison Okenne was working as a cook aboard a tugboat operating off the coast of Nigeria. In the early hours of the morning, heavy swells caused the tugboat to capsize 20 miles from shore. Harrison was in the bathroom when the ship began to overturn and had to desperately search for a way out. He ended up in the engineer's office. Water began to fill the room, but it did not fill completely. Against all odds, an air bubble in the small space allowed Harrison to survive. The ship went down as he remained trapped in the air bubble for nearly 3 days. Harrison had no food or fresh water. He struggled against the cold temperature.
3 days? I thought they was gonna be like, yo, he got out. He swam up to the surface. No, bro, he was trapped underwater, and somehow in a way the water didn't get in for 3 days, bro. That's when you know it ain't your time to go. That's when you know you got a higher purpose. Like, you're supposed to be here. Like, come on, man. Whew. This give you chills.
And he had to listen to sounds of animals moving around the ship, which he thought were sharks or barracuda. A diving company was sent to the sunken ship to retrieve the bodies from the wreck. Divers were shocked to discover Harrison still alive 60 hours after the disaster. He was the ship's only survivor.
He's alive. Okay, keep him there.
When the divers came upon him, Harrison was dehydrated and disoriented. His lungs were full of a near-fatal amount of nitrogen, but he was alive. He had to be rescued from the wreck very slowly and carefully. The divers strapped him into diving equipment, careful not to panic him, and he was led to a diving bell that transported him to the surface. Once there, Harrison was taken to a decompression chamber for 2 days to account for how deep underwater he'd been. Having walked away from certain death, Harrison continued working as a cook, but he vowed that he would never go back to sea.
He gotta tell. That's a story that should be told over. Like, you know how certain things just catapult you into situations that you never thought you would be in. That should have catapulted him into being a motivational speaker. Like, I could sit and hear that story over and over again, bro. Because you're not going to come across something more crazier than that. Wow. You heard what they said when they swam down. They was shocked he was alive. They weren't expecting that. They was there to retrieve bodies. Saved by strangers.
A tragedy at a New York City subway station became a miracle for one little girl. In September 2019, a 45-year-old man arrived at the Kingsbridge subway station in the Bronx, walking hand in hand with his young daughter. But to the surprise of the rush hour crowd at the station, the man, Fernando Balbuena Flores, jumped onto the subway tracks just as a train was approaching. Even more shockingly, Fernando pulled his daughter, who was just 5 years old, onto the tracks with him. Bystanders didn't have enough time to react before the train struck. Fernando was killed instantly, but his daughter, impossibly, survived. After the train had stopped, 2 Good Samaritans leapt down onto the tracks, where they coaxed the girl to crawl out from beneath the subway car and lifted her to safety on the train platform. She suffered scratches and lacerations, but due to her exact position underneath the train, her injuries were so minor that she was back at home with her mother and other family members later that day. Fernando Balbuena Flores was known to suffer from depression and had been on and off medication for it before he jumped onto the tracks. In a 1 in a million survival story, and thanks to the quick thinking of the 2 men who lifted her to safety, this child lost her father, but walked away with her life. Antonio Love, whose bag was stolen during the rescue, and Jairo Torres were later honored for their heroism and bravery by Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz.
That one there almost to choke you up, bro. Like, come on, man. That's a baby. That's a baby, bro. Like, come on, man. Y'all already know how I feel.
For window washer Alcides Moreno, a typical day at work quickly became a fight for survival. On December 7, 2007, 37-year-old Alcides and his younger brother Edgar arrived at work as usual. They rode an elevator to the roof of Solo Tower, a 47-story apartment building on New York City's Upper East Side. As Edgar and Alcides stepped onto the scaffolding that would normally lower them slowly down the side of the building, the anchors holding the platform came loose. The brothers fell 472 feet in about 6 seconds. The estimated speed of their fall was more than 120 miles per hour.
Dang.
Edgar fell off the scaffolding, hitting a wooden fence and dying instantly. But to the bafflement of the first responders and doctors who treated him, Alcides survived this unsurvivable fall. Alcides suffered intense injuries. 2 broken legs, a broken arm, a broken foot, 2 collapsed lungs, several broken ribs, and a crushed vertebrae. His brain was swollen, and several of his organs had ruptured. He received 24 pints of blood and 19 pints of plasma. It was suggested that Alcides had survived by clinging to the platform as he sped towards the ground, likely creating enough wind resistance to slow his fall. When he landed, the platform also provided a barrier between his body and the concrete. In hospital, Alcides was put in a medically induced coma and underwent more than 15 surgeries. His wife Rosario stayed by his side until he awoke on Christmas Day, 3 weeks later. Though Alcides required extensive surgery and rehabilitation, he slowly recovered and was even able to walk again, much to the amazement of his doctors. Falling from a height of just 10 stories is almost always fatal. Alcides' survival and recovery was unlike anything medical professionals had ever seen before. Even after extensive physical therapy, Alcides has lasting back problems and other complications. He also bears many scars from the accident, and he had to grapple with the death of his brother while he got back on his feet. He was left unable to work, and eventually received a multi-million-dollar settlement from the scaffolding company Tractel Inc. after a Manhattan Supreme Court judge found them at fault for the shoddily installed cables on the platform. According to Alcides, he can no longer run, and for 3 years he mourned his younger brother Edgar, but still considers his survival a gift from God. He has since participated in charity walks to raise money for a church food pantry. He and his family later moved to Phoenix, Arizona, where his wife had their 4th child. Alcides plans to go to college to improve his English.
Oh man, I always ask myself, like, how can people do that job anyway? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you putting a lot of faith in equipment that always has that percentage of failure looming over the top of your head. You know what I'm saying? Like, you putting your life in the hands of some equipment, bro. Like, shout outs to him though, because he's supposed, like, again, I think that should be the theme of this video. They're supposed to be here. Because even doctors was like, and then you heard all the bones he broke, the organs that ruptured, brain swollen. He survived all of that. Like, sheesh.
What if a tragedy changed your life forever, but you couldn't even remember it? This was the case for Cecilia Shashan. On August 16, 1987, Cecilia and her family were on board the Northwest Airlines Flight 255 at the Detroit Metropolitan Airport. They were on their way home to Tempe, Arizona, after visiting family. Unfortunately, her parents and brother, along with every other passenger aside from Cecilia, would never make it home. The wing flaps of the plane had not been set properly, and the left wing clipped a light pole during takeoff. The plane crashed a half-mile away from the airport, leaving behind a trail of smoldering wreckage. At the time, it was the second deadliest aviation accident in U.S. history, leaving only 1 survivor out of its 149 passengers. 6 crew members and 2 people on the ground were also killed. Cecilia was just 4 years old at the time, and to this day does not remember the crash. Cecilia was found by rescuers among the wreckage, still belted into her seat, and whimpering beneath the dead body of a fellow passenger. Over 30% of her body was covered with 3rd-degree burns, and she had broken a leg and her collarbone. The Wayne County, Michigan medical examiner had no explanation as to how she survived. After receiving 4 skin grafts, Cecilia made a full recovery and went to live with her aunt and uncle in Alabama, who shielded her from media attention. The girl had not realized she had been the sole survivor of the crash until her adolescence, and for a while struggled with survivor's guilt, until breaking her silence in 2013 for the documentary Sole Survivor. Investigators later suggested that Cecilia's mother had shielded her daughter as the plane went down, saving her life.
As any mother or parent would have. You know what I'm saying? Remember, today marks the 1-year anniversary of Kobe, and remember when they found them in the wreckage, he had Gigi. He was holding Gigi. You know what I'm saying? As any parent would.
She does not remember the accident, but a tattoo of an airplane memorializes the event. Luckily, Cecilia has been able to live a full life despite the scarring and loss of her family. She got married in 2006, and despite thinking about the accident every day, reportedly flies regularly.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Ending a marriage is never easy, but being attacked by your spouse makes it much harder. In September 2019, Ariane Wallace told her wife of 12 years, Tiffany Wallace, that she believed they needed a divorce. Marital problems, particularly infidelity on Tiffany's part, had led Ariane to this sad conclusion. But she never expected Tiffany's reaction. On hearing this news, Tiffany snapped. She pulled a gun on her wife, shooting Ariane 11 times, 4 times in her leg, 4 times in her privates, and 3 times in her stomach. Amazingly, even with 11 bullets in her body, Ariane remained conscious and aware enough to get down the stairs, leave the house, and ask for help. The Wallaces' neighbors had heard the gunshots, and when Ariane opened the door, people had already gathered outside her home. Somehow still coherent, she asked them to call the police. When help arrived, Tiffany was arrested in front of the Wallace home. She told the officers she had shot Ariane in self-defense. Ariane was rushed to the hospital, where she underwent 2 blood transfusions and emergency surgery for her.
So you shot her 11 times in self-defense, right? 11 times? In those areas? Like, I ain't never heard of nobody shooting a woman in their crotch before. That's a self-defense wound? Come on, man.
Her wounds. Despite the extent of her injuries, Ariane lived through her wife's sudden and vicious attack.
I don't know why I said that. And she was just like, you want to play with me? You want to play with me? And she pulled the gun out, looked me in my eyes, and she started shooting me.
Tiffany faced 9 criminal charges, including assault with intent to murder, domestic violence, and 3 charges of felony firearm. Incredibly, despite the extensive injuries, Ariane is slowly but surely recovering from the ordeal. Her family has since started a GoFundMe to help raise money for her hospital bills. Which of these incredible survival stories did you find most shocking? Have you ever survived a dangerous situation against impossible odds? Tell us your story in the comments.
Bro, if that don't make you cherish life or look at life differently, bro, then go back and restart this video and watch again. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow ain't promised. You never know. Just live each day to the fullest, man. I can't stress that enough. You know what I'm saying? Live each day to the fullest. This is crazy. And these people right here, bro, they were meant to be here. They got a higher calling. It's something they supposed to be doing. And like I said, bro, all of them could get together and be motivational speakers. And I sit there and listen to every one of their stories, bro. Because they've been through a lot. A lot. You know what I'm saying? Whew. Man. Kiss your kids. Kiss your wives or husbands. Tell them you love them, man. And yeah, man, cherish the time you got with everybody. It's your boy L. Y'all make sure y'all remember to go hit the vlog channel up. Till the next reaction, I'm out. Peace. Y'all stay solid. Hey.